How's it going, guys? So this video is about shit tests and how to overcome them. So I've had this question a few times from clients and other people kind of emailing me, etc. For those of you that don't know what it is, it's essentially when a girl kind of throws a question or sometimes like an accusation at you to kind of like test your frame or to test your manliness, or at least that's kind of like the PUA definition of it. And like the most common one you'll encounter is, do you do this often? As in, do you always go around picking up girls or flirting with girls, etc. But it might also come in other variations, such as how many numbers have you collected today, or are you a player, that kind of thing. In my opinion, you know, there is some part of it which is about kind of testing your frame, testing if you're the real deal, if you are genuinely as you're trying to come across. But there is also partly, the girls do it partly down to the fact that they're trying to establish a sense of security, to see that you're not completely crazy and that you're a relatively normal person as well. But the way to kind of overcome them, generally speaking, is to just to kind of use humour, really. So you're not kind of taking it really seriously, you're being kind of unreactive to it, but you're just kind of ridiculing it. So that's the best way to kind of overcome it. So for example, she says to you, do you do this all the time, or are you always kind of talking to girls, that kind of thing? And then you say, for example, yes, you're the 5067th girl of the day that I've spoken to. So you're amplifying it and you're ridiculing it, you're making a joke out of it. And that's really good actually, because it kind of spikes up the conversation a little bit. And if you haven't had too much kind of, you know, sexual stuff incorporated into the conversation, then this is a really good opportunity to do so. And you can just, you know, add a bit of humour as well to it, which is, you know, a great opportunity to do that as well. There are other ways to kind of overcome it as well. So for example, you can underplay it. That's something that I do sometimes. You might have seen it in some of my infills as well, where I will say, oh no, you're the only girl I've ever approached in my life, with like a bit of a sarcastic tone. And that's another way of doing it as well. So you're still ridiculing it, but in a kind of like sarcastic kind of way. So that's also good. And then the other way to do it is to just kind of say like something along the lines of, you know, describing her. So you just say, oh no, I only ever do this if the girl is wearing a pink dress and with brunette hair, etc. So you're essentially just describing her. And that's another way of doing it as well. But yeah, the key thing to remember, like, is that, you know, if a girl is doing a shit test on you, then it's a very, very positive thing. Because I've got guys who, you know, they're telling me like, oh no, the girl was shit testing me and I didn't know what to say, and I was kind of lost it at that point. But actually, the way to look at it is that it's very much a positive thing, because if she didn't really give a fuck about you, or she wasn't really invested in you, then she wouldn't give you the shit test. The reason she's giving you the shit test is because she cares. She cares enough to do so. So it's definitely a positive thing. And like I said before, you can inject humour into the conversation, so it's always really good. What you don't want to be doing is, you don't want to like come from an angle where it's like, oh no, I don't do this all the time. You're like, I would only ever do this to you. I'm not one of those guys that talks to loads of girls. You don't want to like come from that kind of angle, because she's going to smell bullshit. And you know, it comes from quite a weak kind of supplicating perspective, or like a frame which she's going to kind of not be massively attracted to. So it does need to come across as authentic, but you know, when you incorporate humour as well into it, it just comes across like a very kind of strong frame. So that's the main thing to do with shit tests, really. And another thing you can do is, like, you can also, after you've like answered her shit test, you can kind of flip the script to some extent and just throw the same question back at her. Yeah, that could be quite funny as well, because like, you know, she might ask you, oh, do you do this all the time? And then you can, after you've answered, then you can be like, what about you? Are you always talking to girls? Are you always talking to guys as well? So that can be quite funny. I might start doing that myself a bit more. But yeah, and the thing with like these shit tests is that, like, a lot of the time the girl doesn't genuinely really want to know about the actual answer. She is just doing it just to kind of see your reaction. So that's one thing to bear in mind. So like she asks, do you do this all the time? And then you answer in a ridiculous way. She's not going to be like, no, seriously, do you generally do this all the time? She's not actually trying to find that sort of information out. Although having said that, you know, just looking at it from kind of like a basic, you know, basic human social interaction perspective, the girl is giving you that shit test because of her own sense of security, just so that she doesn't feel as if like you're a completely weird guy and that you are quite a normal person. So just bear that in mind as well. Cheers for watching. If you'd be interested in one-to-one coaching with me, where we'll go out in public and work on you approaching girls, or more generally with your social confidence, please visit my website ed-game.com.